And welcome to the Nasboys Sports Podcast. Now, did you know that Buccaneers teammates Shaq Mason and Shaq Barrett were both named after Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon? Shaq Olajuwon Mason and Shaq Hakeem Barrett. So anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys Podcast, or the Nasboys Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, a.k.a. Mike Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host, Cam, a.k.a. Notice_Cam.
Howdy, y'all.
So let's get started with talking about some sports. We're going to kick things off with some March Madness. This was the Elite Eight or Sweet 16 and final Elite Eight weekend, if I could talk. Next weekend is going to be the Final Four. And once again, what a crazy tournament this has been. We're going to kick it off with some of the notable games. Starting it off with Arkansas and Gonzaga. Honestly, who didn't expect Gonzaga to lose, at least in the Elite Eight? I didn't expect them to win or lose in the Sweet 16, but definitely a crazy finish. Gonzaga, I felt like should not have been overall number one. I mean, I kind of figured they were going to be an overall seed in their bracket or whatever, their tournament bracket, whatever it's called. But I didn't think that, they should have been number one. I thought they should have been number two or number three overall. But yeah, I don't know why people kept picking Gonzaga, because I'm not surprised. They shouldn't have won. Cam, what do you have to say?
Honestly, I thought that Gonzaga would have lost last round, but they stood up and they standed, and I said, okay. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely were expecting them to lose to Arkansas. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind. I was like, I didn't think they would even make it close to the Final Four, honestly.
Right. Texas Tech and Duke. This was a pretty interesting game. Duke, I kind of figured Duke was going to win, and they proved me right. I'm not a big Duke fan, but they proved me right. Texas Tech, they had a nice little run going, but just unfortunately they couldn't make it stick. Another game that was really a good game, Houston and Arizona. But Cam, what do you have to say about the Duke and the Texas Tech game?
Coach K, it's his last season, and Duke's doing really good. So, I mean, I'm always happy for that. I really thought that Texas Tech had a chance, but no, shut them out.
Right. And going on to Houston and Arizona, Houston getting the W here. I was stunned by this, because I thought Arizona, they were going to go to the national championship game. I thought, okay, this is probably the best team in the country, but no, I was wrong. Houston beat them, and they beat them by 12 points too, which is very shocking in my opinion. Arizona just was no match for Houston. Cam?
Yeah, I really did think that Arizona was going to win against Houston, or at least I thought it was going to be a close game, but no.
And St. Peter's, America's team right now, the people's champion, they beat Purdue in the Sweet 16, but unfortunately they lost in the Elite Eight, first 15 seed to make it to the Elite Eight, if any of you didn't know that. That was really cool to see them beating another great team. I thought Purdue was an Elite Eight, maybe a Final Four team, but no, St. Peter's, Purdue was making it close. They were making it a lot closer than a lot of St. Peter's other games besides the Kentucky game. But yeah, man, I just could not believe St. Peter's run, and I feel bad that they lost, and they could potentially be losing their head coach to go to Seton Hall.
Yeah, I was there when they played Purdue, and it's so funny. I was there at Texas Roadhouse with my cousin, and we were watching the game, and it's so funny because after they beat Purdue, you had like all these drunk white dads with the big beers and beer bellies rubbing against each other, and it was just a bunch of chanting and hollering. But it was a really close game. I mean, I honestly thought that Purdue was going to come back and win it, but they didn't.
Right. I did too, honestly. That finish was crazy. Jaden Ivey tried to get the three. He got the first three to go, but then St. Peter's, they went to the line, and Jaden Ivey, he just couldn't do it. It was a tough shot.
Has to hurry. Jump shot. Good! A three! One corner. Eder at the free throw line. And tonight, they are riding A Cinderella wave. 67, 64, 4 seconds left.
We don't like the foul, remember.
Ivy for the tie. Off the rim, and it's over. This miracle run continues for St. Peter's. The Peacocks make history. The first 15 seed to the elite.
But yeah, North Carolina and UCLA, this was a pretty interesting game. UCLA, they were really ranked lower and were disappointing in a lot of people's eyes, but still managed to get the fourth seed or their fourth seed in their bracket. And North Carolina, they're on a run right now. I think they could be the national champion, but we'll see. Duke is very strong. I can't wait to watch that Final Four game with Duke and North Carolina. Maybe Duke can get revenge, but I hope not. Hopefully North Carolina can beat Duke, but that's besides the point. North Carolina is looking really, really strong right now.
You know, I really want North Carolina to go full way, but, you know, at the same time, I mean, the Duke-North Carolina game is going to be crazy. You know, and I actually really do like the story that was built on behind, you know, from it. You know, this is Coach K's, you know, this is his chance to give them a, you know, smack back in the head in return for beating them at their own house. So, you know, really this is that's going to be a crazy game. And, you know, UCLA, I mean, they're looking pretty unstoppable right now as well as North Carolina. So, you know, it's really going to be interesting.
And I mean, the games I didn't mention, Providence and Kansas, and then Michigan and Villanova, those were games that I just basically expected the outcome of. I mean, Villanova, they're looking really strong too. Michigan, I did not expect them to make it to the Sweet 16. I thought they would get eliminated in the second round, but fortunately they did get eliminated in the Sweet 16. And as for Kansas, they look really good, or they look really good. So now let's talk about the Elite Eight. We got Houston and Villanova. Villanova beating Houston by 6. Pretty good game. I think that was a good game. Houston was off on offense, and Villanova, they just came to play.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we got Arkansas and Duke. Duke beating Arkansas. Kind of expected. I don't know, because Arkansas, they were looking really strong. Again, they beat Gonzaga. They were looking strong. They had the momentum. A lot of people were thinking they could beat Duke, but no, Duke, they showed up. Coach K, yet again, with the leadership. I got my only Final Four pick with Duke right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Kansas destroying Miami. Sorry, Cam, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that Duke's crazy. I thought they were going to lose that game.
Right. But yeah, we got Kansas destroying Miami. This is expected, honestly. I didn't even expect Miami to make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, it just felt more like a bullying than it was the game. It felt horrible.
And then we mentioned this earlier, St. Peter's in North Carolina. Again, big props to St. Peter's for, you know, coming out here and nobody knowing who they are. They came in the first 4 game and they ended up, you know, beating all these great teams like Purdue and Kentucky, but they just couldn't make it happen in the Elite Eight. And, you know, that's understandable because this is tough competition. I mean, North Carolina, again, is a great team. I think they could potentially win the national championship.
Absolutely. And, you know, you got to realize that these aren't just like random schools. I mean, these are the top basketball college schools in the country that are all from, you know, states. And they're coming in together and they're just facing it off. So, I mean, respects to St. Peter's. I mean, they really made themselves known. And I kind of wonder if they're going to be like, what's that school that John Morant went to, Murray State?
Yeah, Murray State.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they're going to end up like Murray State with a bunch of D1 prospects.
Maybe, but the thing is, like I said earlier, Cam, they're losing their coach. He might go to Seton Hall, which I don't know why he'd still want to leave. I mean, I could understand wanting to leave, but then all of a sudden you want to leave after your team is like the people's champion right now. I mean, a lot of people were really rooting for St. Peter's. I was kind of rooting for St. Peter's a little bit, even though I didn't really care who won because, you know, my team, Maryland, is not even in the tournament. So anyways, let's get our predictions in for the Final Four. We got Villanova and Kansas. This should be a pretty good game. I think it could go either way. I don't really know like what to say about it.
I got Villanova.
Villanova, might go Kansas. I
Ooh.
know that seems tacky because they're the number 1 seed and Villanova's number 2, but I'm ready to see this game. This is going to be a good game.
Yeah, I got
And then
Villanova.
we got North Carolina and Duke. Oof, man, I think if I'm correct, they split the season series. I could be wrong though.
They did split it.
Okay. Oof. This is going to be tough because, like you said, Cam, Coach K is going to have that on his back that, North Carolina wants to beat me in my last home game. We're going to whoop them in the tournament. So I could see this game going either way. This is a really, really exciting Final Four, but North Carolina, they're looking really, really strong. I don't know. I might take a risky pick. I might go North Carolina.
I'm going Duke. You know what? I'm just gotta learn. I'm gonna commit. I'm going Duke. You know why? Duke's got this edge on them. They're a great basketball team, and I think they're gonna be a little bit more ready to come to play because they got that edge on them. They got that like angriness. They're tired. They're mad because North Carolina got one up on them, especially in their coaches last year, which is kind of like a rub in the face. I think Duke's gonna be angry. North Carolina's probably gonna treat it like not like an average game, but they're gonna treat it just like they would any other March Madness game. Why I think Duke's gonna be training extra hard, so I think Duke is gonna win.
Right. I could see this happening completely. I mean, both these Final Four games, they better be good. They better be worth this hype because both these games have potential to be classics.
Yeah, we'll see if me or Mike are right. Now me and him, it's funny. Now we're gonna have a little bit of a rivalry going on between me and Mike because now we both pick opposite teams.
Right. All right, moving on to the UFC.
So in UFC, we have Jorge Masvidal who attacked Colby Covington. If you guys don't know the story, I mean, basically Jorge's side of the point is that Colby was talking crap, and he basically hit him. I mean, and it's kind of a crappy situation. Colby, he differed. Colby, he said that they were both kind of talking trash, and he said that Jorge couldn't back it up in the ring though. And, Colby's not wrong. I mean, I guess I only want to wish I could find out more to the story than what we've heard. But we do know that they let him out of jail. But he is facing 2 charges, I think, still.
Yeah.
2 felonies. But he'll go to the court for those. But they did let him out of jail, which Covington was livid about. And, really, I think it's a crappy situation. But, I don't know. I'm not going to judge any of them really because I wish I won't judge until after that court case and after they settle the whole thing. But I guess if you made me pick a side, I'd probably say I'm on Covington's because, right now it's kind of making Jorge look like a big crybaby. And, Covington did beat him in the ring in a sanctioned fight. Wow. Jorge kind of just really snuck Covington in like a crappy way. So, I mean, from my standpoint, it's not looking good for Jorge.
Right. So basically, for more context, Colby was out with the Nasboys after they had finished recording the episode of the Full Send podcast. And, they were just chilling, and the Nasboys posted what steakhouse they were at, and somehow word got out to Masvidal. A lot of people were blaming the Nasboys for setting Colby up, which I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm not going to speculate on that, but you know how the internet is. And Jorge, he came in with a hoodie and a surgical mask on, trying to hide himself, and Colby was walking out, and Jorge just completely sucker punched him. From what I heard, there were like 3 other people there too, right?
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, which in my opinion is honestly ridiculous. Masvidal, I mean, I could understand a little bit where he's mad. I'm a big Colby fan, by the way. I was really rooting for him in that fight, UFC 272. But yeah, I could understand where Jorge could be a little upset. Colby was talking about how he's a deadbeat dad, and he was saying all this stuff to try to get in his head, and it was working. If you watch the press conference, you could clearly see how mad Jorge Masvidal was getting. And Jorge Masvidal, he had 25 minutes in the octagon with Colby Covington. He was getting paid for this. Both of them were going to get paid for beating the crap out of each other. and he didn't do anything. He had like 1 or 2 highlights, and that was it. Other fighters who have been, peeved at other fighters for talking about stuff that they shouldn't be talking about, like Khabib and Justin Gaethje, they go out and show it in the octagon. You don't see them going and jumping their opponent in the street. They go out there and do it in the octagon like they're supposed to do. Masvidal jumping Covington in the street. Obviously, Masvidal is a street guy. That's how he got his name, Street Jesus or Street Judas, whatever you want to call him. And he even snitched on himself with an interview. He said, I'm one of the best sucker punchers around. You got to have a good sucker punch and a good 50-yard dash. And he admitted in his professional press conference after the Covington fight that he was going to find Colby on the street. And he had even said somewhere on a story claiming that Colby poked him in the eye on purpose, that I'm going to see you soon, female dog. So overall, Masvidal definitely deserved to get arrested. It's ridiculous that he went to go and jump him in the street when he had, again, 25 minutes in the octagon and he did nothing but like one punch. So Masvidal is a baby, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Mike really just took it away for me on that one. And then, the other thing that's on the list now is Conor McGregor arrested, which I didn't really know much about. So, Mike, could you digress a little more so I can give my opinion on it?
So, basically, Conor was at home in Dublin, and he was driving to his gym to go train because obviously he's trying to make this big comeback off his broken leg, and he got arrested for dangerous driving. Now, I don't know exactly what they considered dangerous because there was a video of Conor, and he was driving his Bentley on the highway, and I'm guessing he was speeding because you see these guys and they're like, oh my God, it's Conor. And they're recording Conor's Bentley. And then all of a sudden the police were called and they pulled Conor over, which I don't know if it was just for speeding. And I don't know how the traffic laws work in Ireland. So speeding to them could be something very wrong. And unlike in America where if you speed, you get pulled over. But anyways, Conor McGregor getting arrested, I was not really that surprised, but the cause was a little shocking, and reading more about it was a little shocking. But Conor's out now. He's off doing his own thing again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. Like, I guess to a certain extent, I feel like everybody has moments like that where, they can have some trouble, but I don't know if there's more to that situation and there's more of that story, but, I guess I respect it more that he was driving, but at least he wasn't like drunk driving, I guess. I mean, put on a point. So, I mean, it's so far to me, it doesn't sound like it was that bad, but I guess maybe not because he did get arrested for it. So, once again, Conor McGregor just having another downfall. It just sucks to see.
I mean, Conor, I hope he can make a rise soon, but he's got to get off that alcohol. I think he did say somewhere, apparently he was going to try to stop drinking, but I still see him in the pub and he's still promoting Proper 12. So we'll see how it goes this summer if he gets a fight.
Yep.
Another thing that you didn't mention, Cam, was Nate Diaz. Apparently he asked for a release from the UFC because they're not giving him a fight.
He already kind of, you could already tell that he had an edge on his shoulder with Dana White about, what was going on. And, you could really tell that throughout the years that he was just ending up like his brother, Nick, getting tired of Dana White's crap, and some of the stuff that they'd pull. So, I mean, I think, Nate Diaz is realizing that, his career is slowly starting to come to an end and he wants to live it out the best he can. So he's trying to get as many fights as he can. And, plus you also have to think about money-wise. This guy's still a fighter. I'm sure he has his millions, but, you never know how much he's grinding for his kids, his grandkids, whatever. I mean, there's always more to it. So, I feel like – and he's a big star. If Conor McGregor asked for a fight, Dana White would give him one in seconds. Why can't he do the same to Nate?
Right, and Conor, speaking of that, Conor might even fight Kamaru Usman, who's the best UFC fighter.
Why would he do that?
I know, like, Conor's coming off, what, a 2-fight losing streak right now?
Get your head out your butt. Kamaru Usman is the best middleweight we've ever seen. Did I say middleweight? I mean, yeah, is that right? Welterweight. That's what I meant. Welterweight. He's the best welterweight we've ever seen. Like, ever. Dude. Like, how are you going to beat him? Conor, this is what I advise you to do, man. I advise you, this is the best thing you can do, too. And I promise you, you're still going to get a main card pay-per-view event because just how big you are and how big your name is. Go down below. Go to the featherweight division again. Go to a featherweight. Stop staying in lightweight or going bigger into welterweight. That's the worst idea you could do. Go to featherweight. Yeah, you're going to look a little skinny. You're going to lose some weight. But I'm telling you, you are fast in the featherweight. You are one of the fastest they've ever seen. You know, and your hits are so strong because you can deal with those bigger guys.
Right.
I mean, like, really, I'm telling you, if you go back to featherweight, you just get a fight, okay? You get a fight with a decent, you know, a guy that's, like, matches up to your standpoint, you know, your level. But it doesn't have to be a title fight. It doesn't have to be a contender. Just get a fight to prove yourself again. Because right now, you got zero respect. You're on, like, a 1-to-2 ratio.
Right. He's lost
Really,
like 2 out of his last 3.
Yeah, it's like 1-to-3. And really that 1-to-2 ratio in general, I mean, that one's already starting to fade away.
Right.
I mean, Kamaru Usman can easily, like, I mean, no matter what, Conor, he'll knock you out with a fist, a knee, a leg kick. He'll knock you out with, I don't know, a guillotine. I can break your arm. It doesn't matter, dude. He'll break your second leg. He's way too good for you to be doing this. And I just think you're setting yourself up for failure, man. Fight Nate Diaz again.
I would like to see him either fight Nate Diaz if he does move up. I'd like to see him fight in the featherweight division. Or if he does want to fight at welterweight, because he's looking a lot bigger than he did in the Dustin Poirier fight. If he does fight in welterweight, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Jorge Masvidal. I think maybe Jorge could win, but if Jorge continues his downfall, maybe Conor could win. We'll see. It depends how much Conor wants to train and how hungry he is, because I don't know if he's hungry. From watching old footage of him, you could see the hunger and the motivation. And now, you know, with him getting all this money, he's just trying to get more money.
Yeah, exactly.
So I definitely don't want to see him against Usman. I think he'll embarrass himself. No questions asked.
And that's the thing is that, you know, you also have to realize, you know, Conor doesn't need that hungriness anymore. That's why he was so good.
Right.
He was hungry for that championship. He was hungry for the money. He's not hungry no more. If anything, he's just there because he wants to have his fans and he wants to impress his people. But I do truly wonder, Conor, if you could think about how you're looking right now and what your reputation is and how you're falling, you're not doing good. End your career good. Get that hunger, your hungriness, and, you know, get your head out your butt and realize what you're really fighting for. You're fighting for your reputation. You're fighting for respect again. Right. Think about that. Don't think about the money. Think about the sport of martial arts and kick someone's butt, please. Just, I mean, you know, I just kick someone's butt. Just not some main fighter, you know, contender type thing. Don't go to the featherweight and fight Max Holloway instantly. That's like the worst idea ever.
Right. Like, work your way back up. Get that respect.
Yes. And you may not even get a title fight. But please, give respect from the MMA community again. Really, because you're not going to get the respect anymore. I mean, you know, you wonder. They look at, like, Floyd, you know, I bet you they would look at Floyd Mayweather different if he started losing his fights. But guess what? That man's, like, so old yet he hasn't lost yet, you know, or like when he does lose, he picks himself back up and look, he's made a good reputation for himself again.
Right. All right, moving on to the NFL. Once again, we're going to do like we did last episode and talk about more of the bigger names. So we're going to kick it off with Buccaneers re-signing Leonard Fournette after he visited the Patriots. I believe it's a 3-year deal, which is great for the Buccaneers. I was wondering if they were going to try to make a move on Leonard Fournette, so thankfully they did.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on that. I mean, good for them, really.
Next up, we got the Colts trading for Matt Ryan in exchange for a 3rd-round pick. I mean, it was expected Matt Ryan was going to get traded, especially after they were trying to go after Deshaun Watson. But I feel like the Falcons, they shouldn't have done it, especially if they didn't get Watson. But it is what it is. The Colts, they got a great quarterback now, and they could definitely be going some places. They got a good receiving core, so we'll see how it happens.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting for sure. I'd like to see how it happens next season.
And then next up, we got the Falcons signing Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal, which I think is a good idea, especially if the Falcons are going to try to rebuild now, because they don't really have anything to build on. I mean, Calvin Ridley is going to get suspended after that gambling thing. And now who's he going to throw to? Their tight end, Hayden Hurst. He went to the Bengals. So Marcus Mariota, he doesn't really have too much besides Cordell Patterson, actually. They did re-sign Cordell Patterson, but that's about it. The Falcons definitely need to rebuild, and I think that's a good idea to have Marcus Mariota there to help rebuild that team.
Yeah, as a Vikings fan, I hate to do this, but instead of paying $34 million for a 1-year contract with Kirk Cousins, I much would have rather have a $10 to $12 million 1-year contract with Marcus Mariota.
And then next up, we got the Saints re-signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year, $28 million deal. I think that's a good move. They also brought back Trevor Siemian. So I think that's a good move for the Saints. That's another team that needs to rebuild.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They need a huge rebuild, in my opinion.
And then next up, we got Pete Carroll says the Seahawks will do anything to keep DK Metcalf, which why would you trade his quarterback? Russell Wilson is a good quarterback, and you traded him to the Broncos for practically nothing and Noah Fant. And you're like, we'll do anything to keep DK Metcalf. Okay, get him a good quarterback, not Drew Lock.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking there. That was like really dumb.
And then next up, we got the Chiefs. This is the big news of the week. The Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins in exchange for 5 picks. This came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you're just living your day, and then all of a sudden you see the Chiefs give consent for Tyreek Hill to go seek a trade. And then like an hour later, he gets traded, and to all teams, the Dolphins. I can't believe this. I mean, the Dolphins with the huge splash right there. They have Mike Gesicki. They got Jaden Waddle, and now you got Tyreek Hill. They were on the verge of being a playoff team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they could be a playoff team. And I see a lot of like stuff talking about how Tua Tagovailoa is inaccurate and he's a bad quarterback, but I don't know. I think the Dolphins could make it to the playoffs this year. That's my hot prediction this year.
Well, I mean, my thing is that like, this is my problem. Why would you go to the Dolphins, dude? Tua can throw a little far, but for what Tyreek Hill is, Tua can't throw that far.
Right.
And like, Tyreek Hill's got some insane speed, but he get better on his route running. Because I tell you what, Tua, he can't just wind it up and throw it randomly on the run. No, he's more of like a pocket guy. He can run a little bit, but he's still going to look for those shorter passes. So good luck with that, Tyreek Hill. Second of all, Chiefs, you absolute idiots. Why would you guys get Juju Smith-Schuster as your first wide receiver? You idiots. Listen, I think he was great with Antonio Brown as a second wide receiver, but as your first, oh my goodness. For Juju, the 13-year-old TikTok dancer girl, like that's what he is basically at this point. I mean, he's more of a mascot than he is a team player. I hope he leads you guys to the worst season ever. I just hope this is an absolute abomination of a idea. I don't know what you guys were doing, but just so stupid. I mean, really, I'm sure, I imagine that Patrick Mahomes is like seriously regretting life at the moment. I mean, with his wife and his brother, I mean, you can put those two together and just be a major ugh. But then you also have to add on the fact that your best wide receiver and like your man-to-man best friend when it comes to the offense just left you has got to suck.
Now, I mean, a couple things. First of all, Juju's going to fit really nicely with Jackson and his wife. I mean, we've talked about this before. So that's going to be scary right there. Now,
yeah, maybe like date or something. Who knows?
I mean, another thing that I think that's why the Chiefs did is they had to pay Tyreek Hill. And now with the wide receiver market increasing, I think you're going to see more of these big moves where teams are going to get rid of their bigger players because they can't afford these contracts. Next offseason is going to be awful. You got Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, so many names that you just know they're going to ask for a lot of money, and these teams can't afford it. And it's all thanks to the Jaguars giving Christian Kirk $72 million when he doesn't deserve $72 million.
Right.
So, if anything, Tyreek Hill deserves that. DK deserves that. Not Christian Kirk. He's a good wide receiver, good pickup for the Jaguars, but not for $72 million. And you're going to keep seeing this. And I'm honestly shocked that the Chiefs traded Tyreek, but I'm also not that surprised because of just how bad these contracts are going to get. And you're going to see it.
Yep. Agreed.
T.Y. Hilton is allegedly drawing interest from the Cowboys. I mean, we hear so much stuff about T.Y. Hilton. 1 minute he's going to retire. Then he comes back for another season. And now apparently the Cowboys are interested in him. I don't think he should leave the Colts, at least for now. I mean, with Matt Ryan, I know that he's had like 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in the last few years. So that's a little hard. But if it works with Ryan, I say he should stay. But if not, then maybe he should just retire because T.Y. Hilton is getting up there in age.
I will say this too. I feel bad for T.Y. Hilton because, you think about it. I mean, he was a really good wide receiver, and sadly, I mean, his a little bit of his career got thrown away. I feel like he really could have been great, but and it's what happens to a lot of guys in the NFL. And he made his money though. And my thing is, I feel like you shouldn't leave. First of all, I'd like to say that Matt Ryan, this is the happiest I've seen him in like a good 5, 6, 7 years. Like he was smiling in every single picture I've seen of him, which is great. I haven't seen that man smile in a while. And I think he can do great things because he has a lot of good wide receiver options if T.Y. Hilton stays. And therefore, T.Y., give the man a chance. You guys are both older. I mean, you play with the league. I think you guys can make a great connection together, and I think you guys can absolutely dominate the league. I mean, really, I think that the Colts offense this coming year can be really scary if they figure out a plan with Matt Ryan.
Right, I agree.
No more Carson Wentz, though.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Speaking of Carson Wentz. Sorry, Mike.
Next up, we got the Broncos Stadium was on fire. I don't really know what to say about this because it was just so sudden because obviously it's most likely being not habited right now because it's the off season unless there's some that we don't know about. But that's really scary. I mean, it was literally like the seats were on fire. It was crazy.
Yeah, if you actually see it, I mean, it was smoking. Like, it was there.
Right. And then next up, finally, for the NFL news, we got Odell Beckham Jr. has interest in rejoining the Browns now that Baker Mayfield is leaving and Deshaun Watson is in. So that leads me to believe Baker was the problem in Cleveland. First of all, I don't think he should leave the Rams. They just came off a Super Bowl. They just re-signed Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. I don't see why you would leave. I mean, you got Allen Robinson there now. They could go for another Super Bowl besides their defense taking a hit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my other thing, too, is that, it's almost like you're trying to get Antonio Brown, Beckham. Pick your team and stay just for, a season or two.
Right.
My other thing, too, I will say is that, I don't know how that's going to work because knowing that you and the coaches have had a rivalry, clearly showing that you guys have butted heads before. So I don't know why it would be a good decision to go back to them. I think you should just stay on the team that you just won a Super Bowl with and stay with them.
Right. I agree.
Or come to, the Vikings and help us out. Beckham, please. Please, Beckham. Listen, Beckham. Beckham, man. My man, Beckham. Give the Vikings a chance, man. Just a chance. Please.
I would say something about that, but at the same time, my team is also very crappy. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. Exactly. In other news, and baseball-wise, We actually have a good amount. So, get your popcorn, put your seatbelts on, do whatever you got to do because we got a road. The Arizona Diamondbacks have signed relief pitcher Oliver Perez to a minor league deal. After Perez was originally expected to play for Los Toros de Tijuana and retire afterwards. This is one of those great. The only reason why I'm really showing this one is this is one of those great examples of some of the players that were leaving to other leagues and make money there. It was getting that bad. The Miami Marlins extended left-hand pitcher Richard Blear to a 2-year, $6 million contract with a 2024 club option. I don't really have much to say on this, really. I don't know if that was really a smart move for the Marlins, but you know what? You do it. The Cincinnati Reds are in agreement on a deal with right pitcher Hunter Strickland. We're buying, this is what bothers me, right? The people we're buying from and we're getting guys from are the teams that are our rivals. It's just so stupid. Let's get some guys from the Pirates. Let's get some guys from the Brewers. It's they're all in their same division. It's what are we doing? I don't really know. I guess it's not the worst move. It's okay. I don't really have a hate for it. I just don't know why. I'm mad at the Reds. We should sell the team. The Los Angeles Dodgers have signed outfielder Kevin Pillar to minor league deal with a major league invited $2.5 million, which is sad because this is the same guy that I believe that got his face broken by that ball. Hey, going to the Dodgers, you get a minor league deal. I'd say you're still be on a good team, and they might put you up there, so that's not a bad idea. This is huge. Carlos Carrera is officially a member of the Minnesota Twins. I absolutely cannot believe that out of all teams, he's going to the Twins. And Twins players were even saying that they wish they would have had Story instead of Carrera, which I don't really blame them. Who wants a cheater on their team, right? But this is just crazy. I think that he is going to do really good on the Twins, though. I can see him as a fit.
Yeah, Cam, we had talked about this on the last episode, but I'm glad that, we got your opinion on this as well. I said this last episode, I thought he was going to go somewhere like the Yankees. I did not expect the Twins at all.
Oh, well, at least I got my opinion on it. That's cool. The Toronto Blue Jays have agreed on a 2-year, $25 million contract extension with newly acquired third base Matt Chapman. Wow. Wow. That's going to be a really stacked team with Matt Chapman, dude. That's dangerous because he's going to be third baseman, and then you're also going to have a couple other good players on that team. That's going to be crazy. The Seattle Mariners are in agreement on a deal with right pitcher Sergio Romo, which he's from the Twins. The Twins have made a lot of trades, and they've also acquired a lot of people. It's kind of crazy what they're doing. They're switching everything around, which, Sergio Romo, he's one of those guys that had a huge problem with the whole searching stuff, which, he kind of said his word on, which you can go look on YouTube. He kind of had a problem with the umps. The Cincinnati Reds are in agreement with outfielder Tommy Pham on a 1-year deal with a 2023 mutual option. I'm just going to say one single thing. W. Absolutely. Good idea. Good. I'm not hating that one at all. Especially after we threw away 2 of our best outfielders, not only for our team, but for our league. Thank you guys. Really, Reds, really loving you guys right now. I'm a part-time Dodgers fan at the moment. I'd like to say this.
Dodgers.
No one can hate me. All right. If you just seen what the Reds did and it was your team instead, you would be crying too. Okay. The Colorado Rockies have acquired outfielder Randall. I'm gonna murder this guy's last name, Gruchuk, in exchange for outfielder Remio Tapia, which honestly, that was a bad idea. You just gave Tapia away to, what? No, I would have never done that. That was horrible. That sucked. And this is really sad, actually. 2 times MLB All-Star reliever Andrew Miller has announced his retirement after 16 big league seasons. Miller is a two-time star All-Star, along with being a ALCS MVP in 2016, and is regarded as one of the elite revolutionary relievers in baseball throughout the mid-2010s. Which he's a Cardinals guy, which means I grew up watching this guy because I'm a Reds fan, and I always hated him. But as I got older, I really started to get a love for him, and now he's gone. It just kind of hurts my feelings, Like, it kind of hurts. He had some really good seasons, though, so, it's good to see him gone. I'm just waiting for Joey Votto to leave and retire. That's really going to be upsetting. I mean, at this point, I wish he just get traded with how the Reds are doing. Once again, just adding another side comment. The Chicago White Sox reportedly offered right-hand pitcher Lucas Giolito, I always remember this guy's last name, Giolito, to a 4-year, $50 million contract extension with a 5th-year option prior to the 2021 season, which they did not say that he took it, but they did not say that he denied it either. So, yeah. And then the Los Angeles Angels are in agreement with catcher Max Stassi on a 3-year, $17.5 million contract extension with a $7.5 million 2025 club option, which means he's basically stacked for good. And then I hate the name. Guardians, relief pitcher, James Karinchak, I think it's how you say it, Karinchak, reportedly had a strain in his teres major muscle and will be shut down for the next 7 to 10 days, putting his opening day chances in doubt. Fellow Guardians catcher Luke Malley had a left hamstring strain and will be likely hitting the IL. So really you're seeing some of the side effects of these guys missing out in baseball. And, this is what's going on. Really, some of these guys have been out for a while. I'm sure they're still training, I imagine, but training with the team has been put on hold, obviously, because of the lockout. So, a lot of these guys are really hurting. And so I think you're going to see a lot of injuries and, just blame this all on Manfred once again. The Washington Nationals have signed right pitcher Tyler Clippard to a minor league contract, which I don't really know. Minor league, I don't know why they would do that, but hey, you know what? They see some potential in him. Maybe. Go ahead.
Yeah, he had played a little bit here. I can't remember what year it was, but I do remember him. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I would have just gave him away if I was Washington. That's just my opinion. I think he's kind of a waste on the roster. No offense to him or nothing, but he hasn't done much for them. Mariners first baseman Evan White will be undergoing surgery to address a sports hernia, and is timeable for a return and is currently unknown. This is yet another setback for White, who underwent a hip surgery last July that cut his 2021 season short. Really, I feel bad for White because he's just been getting his butt whooped over and over again, and it sucks. And this is just more of a funny thing to lighten up the mood. Not for me as much because he's on the Phillies now, which I want to bang my head into a flagpole, but it's okay. Nick Castellanos, if you guys don't remember, I think this was last season or maybe the season before when he was on the Reds, and he had that famous hit home run while the guy was apologizing for saying a slur on TV, right? Well, he just had another one, which Nick Castellanos hit. He had a first hit with the Phillies. Came as the broadcast, was reading a DUI apology on behalf of the Blue Jays pitching coach.
Charlie Montoyo and Pete Walker sitting on the bench, and Salcedo gets a strikeout. And of course, Pete Walker was unfortunately arrested early Friday morning for driving under the influence, and he made a statement apologizing for his actions. Obviously, a very significant situation. Charlie Montoyo, his quote is, he said, "The Blue Jays and I are aware of what happened, the incident involving Pete Walker, but we're still gathering information out of respect for the process. That's all we're going to say right now." And the Blue Jays as an organization have taken the same path. So unfortunately, a very significant situation with Pete Walker, very highly respected pitching coach, but the Blue Jays and the organization are going to wait until all of the information is gathered. So he is continuing to serve as the pitching coach, and he's been here today watching these Blue Jays pitchers so far. 3 pitchers today, and we're scheduled to see Thomas Hatz, Julian Merriweather, and maybe Anthony Castro throughout the course of this game. Little looper, that's going to drop for a base hit. Castellanos reached out and poked it into right field. He picks up a 2-out base hit. Castellanos has been aboard twice now with a walk and a single.
So once again, Nick Castellanos back at it again. This man's always going to be doing the most menacing stuff during an opposite. And then there's breaking. The Arizona Diamondbacks have signed outfielder Ketel Marte. I don't know. I think it's how you say it. I always forget this guy's name. To a 5-year, $76 million contract extension, which huge dub for Arizona. I really think they're going to kick butt this season. And then we had the St. Louis Cardinals have reportedly had increased conversations with free agent Albert Pujols, which I just like to say, they thought of having him back, but I mean, really, I don't want him back. Don't go back to St. Louis, please, man. It's already been a rough year for the Reds. All right, we don't need him to step in the way. And then this is the last thing for baseball, which is, this is big headline news right here. Major League Baseball has outlined their plan to combat the usage of foreign substances in 2022, with a memo being sent out to all 30 teams that allows umpires to inspect the top and bottom of a pitcher's hand during random between innings inspections. Per the memo, umpires will have the authority to eject a pitcher if an inspection reveals that the pitcher's hand is unquestionably sticky or shows unmistakable signs of the presence of a foreign substance to gain an unfair advantage. The umpires are also still allowed to check the pitcher's hat, belt, and glove, as was the case last season. In addition, the ejections, pitchers subject to an automatic 10-game suspension if a violation occurs. So basically, they're keeping what they had last season that made pitchers mad, but they're making it 10 times worse. Congrats, MLB. You pulled one on them after the deal. It sucks. I mean, I'm actually really upset by this. Manfred, you can read this all you want, but I think you're a scumbag and you're ruining the sport of baseball. And I really hate you and your massive forehead. All right. I hope you slip and fall on a banana. And I hope when you wake up in the morning, you forget to brush your teeth. And for some reason you have a test and you're like, oh, if you didn't brush your teeth, you're going to die. And I hope that happens to you, man. I absolutely hate you. Matter of fact, I hope when you go to sleep tonight, both sides of your pillows are warm. How about that, Manfred? All right. I think you just suck. You're a scumbag. And, it doesn't add on to it that you just kind of finessed the whole baseball league. You wouldn't have dare said anything about this when they had the conference, but instead you're going to bring it out after they already agreed. And, you're really just proving why baseball is going to suck. And, really, I just don't wonder if baseball is ever going to come back, Manfred. I really do. You should just retire or something. I mean, let's get a baseball player who actually knows and loves the sport of baseball and who actually will agree with the players. Let's get him in charge instead. Please, because clearly, Manfred's not taking his medicine or something. I don't know what's going on. What's your opinion on it, Mike?
I mean, one thing, you can criticize me for this because I could see arguments, but I don't know why they can't just do it before the pitcher comes on the mound. Why do you have to do it at a random point in the game?
Because they think that at some point they could whip it out midway, or they could come out of the mound with it on, or they could leave the mound with it on. I mean, there's just so many ways. And I think they're just trying to stop it all in general, but it's almost like it's never not going to happen.
I mean, yeah. That was basically the argument that I was going to say, kind of makes sense. But if you're on the mound for, let's say, I don't know, let's say Max Scherzer is on the mound for, 8 innings, he's not going to have time to go to the dugout for, 2 seconds and pull something out. You just, as soon as he gets on the mound, just check him, check his hat, check his glove, whatever, and then he's good to go.
I mean, if you really got a big problem with it, just take a camera during the baseball game and just keep one on the pitcher constantly until you can have someone that's have the camera and that can watch their every single move. So you can see if they're grabbing something, if they're not. I mean, there's so many ways you can deal with it. I mean, instead of doing that. And then you could call them and be inspection this, I think he's doing something. I mean, you could do that. But the way they're doing it certainly is the dumbest idea ever. It just makes me so frustrated.
And yeah, I definitely agree with your point where you were saying how Manfred should have just mentioned it during the conference. They had this big conference. It was sudden. I expected them to have something similar where I think everybody's going to have to expect it where if you go to a baseball game, you're going to have to sit there for 5 minutes while they check the player or however long it takes because they don't want the sticky stuff. And I get that. I get that you don't want these pitchers cheating and you want it fair for both the batter and the pitcher.
Yeah. Well, and that's my thing is that, you saw these pitchers complain about it, and it's like their voice still goes unheard.
Right.
Because clearly Manfred just made it worse. He didn't take it down a little bit. Oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll do it every once in a while. No. He just made it 10 times worse. And, really, pitchers are going to be getting frustrated, I imagine. Sometimes these guys are going to get kicked out and suspended for a glove color, and they didn't even do anything. And now you just screwed them.
Right.
It's just absolutely an abomination to the sport of baseball. And,
I agree.
I'm much more of a bigger fan than what Mike and them are. But they understand to a certain extent of how, angry this is and how stupid this is. And it just makes me so mad, because this is not the baseball I fall in love with. The baseball I fall in love with was when they actually cared about the fans, when they cared about the players, and, it was different. This is a complete awful situation. And, really, I hope they can do something to it. I really wish we could just all stop watching baseball and everybody just go, we won't watch baseball until you're fair, Manfred, or until you leave. Until you quit, we won't watch baseball.
Kim, I did read some people actually are thinking like you, and they said that if the lockout doesn't end by March 1st, that they weren't going to watch the whole season. So we'll see if that holds up. I wouldn't be surprised if people are still watching baseball. They're still going to baseball games because baseball is not a bad sport at all. A lot of people, they get fed up with politics and other sports, and baseball is not as bad. And not to mention, it's considered America's pastime, even though I personally think football is. But I feel like baseball is still going to get a lot of ratings this season, no doubt. I don't know if they're really going to lose anything.
They say that's America's pastime, but I don't think football is either. I personally think it's boxing. Boxing. It was very loved back then.
Well, yeah, back then.
Yeah, but I'm saying America's pastime though. I kind of think of a sport that was popular back then and now. Boxing's still pretty huge.
That's true. Golf could be also considered, even though I personally don't think it's golf.
Oh Lord, I'd hate life if it was golf. Anyways, we're getting off topic here. I'd also like to say that it's just crappy for the fans and the players. These guys are almost like, and it's bad when even the coaches are mad.
Right.
And I do kind of think that, you're going to see a lot more arguments this season. And, players they're not going to take it. They're not going to deal with it. And I can't help but wonder if maybe they're going to have something happen again this season because clearly Manfred's just not caring.
Right.
And makes me horribly mad. But, that's besides the point. I think we're ready to get on to basketball, NBA.
Yeah, moving on to the NBA right now. Jamal Crawford, several times Sixth Man of the Year winner, has finally announced his retirement. He's like one of those players like Vince Carter who's played in his 40s. I completely forgot he was even in the league. So, Jamal, thank you. What a legend.
Yeah, really. That sucks to see you go, Crawford. I actually liked you as a player, man. That sucks.
Yeah, he was a great player for sure.
Dang, 2 big retirements. First baseball, now this. Oh, Lord.
Next up, we got Bradley Beal will potentially re-sign with the Wizards for the Supermax. However, if he doesn't, the Heat and 76ers are potential suitors. Here's the thing. I'm a huge Wizards fan, and I like Bradley Beal. I think he's a good guy. I respect him for being loyal, especially with how bad the Wizards have been over the past couple seasons. And Bradley Beal, he's stuck around, and he's tried to help the team get better by telling them what moves to make. But at the same time, he seems a little wishy-washy, in my opinion, because 1 minute he seems like he's going to re-sign and he wants to stay in DC. Like he was talking about how the Wizards are going to play in Japan against the Warriors for a preseason game because of, how big basketball is starting to get in Japan with players like Rui Hachimura I think a couple other Japanese players. But that's off topic. And he was saying, like, I'm excited to play with the Wizards in Japan, basically indicating that he's going to re-sign. But he also talks about how frustrated he is with that they can't make any big moves. And he did make a good point with this one, that big-name free agents don't want to come to D.C. It makes sense. You would think that people would want to come to D.C. because it's the nation's capital. It's a beautiful city. I mean, a lot of people would love D.C. The fans are very passionate. It's a great area, but they're just not that great of a sports town. I mean, you got the Capitals. They're a good team, even though I can't stand them. The Commanders, they suck. The Nationals are mediocre, and the Wizards are mediocre. So it's understandable why big-name free agents don't really want to come here, but you do see a lot of people love their time in D.C. when they do come here, supposedly. So as a Wizards fan, I would like to see Bradley Beal come back. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain if he doesn't, because he's just endured so much torture here. And also, he's had a couple of years where it's like, Bradley, you're only in this just the stat pad. So we'll see. I got a lot of mixed opinions on Bradley Beal. But if he does stay, call me crazy, but I really hope they re-sign John Wall if John Wall gets bought out by the Rockets. He's my favorite player of all time. So that'd be really cool to see John and Bradley back together, but we'll see what goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if Bradley resigns, and I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves.
I mean, I personally I hope Bradley leaves. I mean, I think, I want the best for Bradley. I hate to say this, no offense, Mike, but I don't think Bradley's going to get anywhere on the Wizards. That's no offense to anybody. But, I could see him definitely, sadly, but I could really see him going to the 76ers and just being, once again, a dominant team with them. So I could really see that happening. I really don't have much to say on it. Just I want the best for Bradley Beal. I mean, he's a great guy, an amazing basketball player, and I just don't think the Wizards are for him.
I mean, my question is, you can call me biased all you want. It may be a little biased, but this is just a valid question. If Bradley Beal goes to the 76ers, he's kind of a ball dominant player. Like in the clutch moments, he has to hold the ball. But so is James Harden and Joel Embiid. How are all three of them going to mesh together? Because there's been a lot of star players or near star players like Montrezl Harrell, John Wall, that have come to DC and they left. Is that because of Bradley or is that because of the manager? I don't know. Bradley Beal, again, is a very dominant player, and he's not very clutch at some moments. So is Bradley going to want to dominate the ball, or is he going to help his team win?
But my thing is, though, is to be fair, though, like with John Wall, he was very good friends with Bradley.
Right.
And
I don't think it was Bradley's fault.
And he personally talked to Bradley about his problems. And I mean, I don't want to say he stated it, but I do think that it was because of the office and the Wizards. I mean, really, Mike, you have picked the worst teams. And I don't know why, but like, maybe it's because you're just a Washington fan, but like, you think about it, the Commanders, they got like a bad office and then all that bad voodoo. And then, you got like the Wizards office and they're just brain dead. So that really sucks for you.
I mean, the Nationals are at least valid. They're cheap, but it's not toxic.
Yeah. I do think that like James Harden, out of all of them, I think James Harden would be the worst. Like he'd probably be the more ball hog guy.
Right.
But Bradley Beal could be a really good team player. So, I mean, I think that if he could practice on being a team player, I think he could do something.
Right, I agree with that. I mean, I did read somewhere from Shams that he was going to sign. So, again, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
Domantas Sabonis avoided a major knee injury but suffered a bruised knee. He will be out for at least another week and could be shut down for the rest of the season. Sucks for the Kings. They're not going anywhere, but sucks for Sabonis.
I feel bad more for Sabonis than the Kings, but yeah, that sucks.
Yusuf Nurkic was fined $40,000 due to him throwing a fan's phone. Now, I've heard mixed stories on this. Apparently, the fan said stuff about his mother and his grandmother, and his grandmother died of COVID or something. Both his family members, I don't know exactly, but he basically said your mother sucks and your grandmother's a B word, and that's why he did it. But a security guard who worked at the arena that day said that the fan was just calling him trash and just basically being a typical NBA fan. So I don't really know what to think. If he was talking about his family, good for Nurkic. But if Nurkic was just being called trash, that's when you just ignore it and you go back to the locker room. Who cares?
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, it's a tough situation, but you probably shouldn't have done it because you're just setting yourself up. I mean, you know how this works. The fan's always going to be in the right. You never will.
Right. It's like in the restaurant business. The customer is always right. And the fan is the customer of the NBA.
Yep.
Kyrie Irving can now play in home games due to New York lifting the vaccine mandate for athletes, which finally, apparently it's still around for a lot of other regular citizens, but the athletes can come in, which I'm not going to get into about that. But yeah, it's cool to see Kyrie come back and finally be a dominant force. I think that's really going to help the Nets, especially come playoff time. So we'll see what goes on with them. And he's also planning on re-signing because he doesn't want to leave Kevin Durant alone. So Kyrie is finally committing to a team.
And that's my thing too, is that like with Kyrie, it's crazy. But like really, I was just looking at him the other day and really it's just like it's crazy because I just thought about how like he's actually getting old,
Right.
Like he's getting up there in age, and like I was just thinking, I'm like, I wonder when that midlife prime is gonna happen to him,
Right. I agree.
And so I kind of wonder if maybe that's gonna happen sooner than later.
Right. So Raquan Holmes is facing allegations of domestic violence and abuse over his 6-year-old son. I don't know what to think about this one. That's shocking. I mean, I just don't know what to say about it. It's bad.
I will say that it's allegations. So I'm not going to judge yet fully. But if you did have domestic violence and you abuse your 6-year-old son, dude, I mean, you're just a complete like scumbag.
Right.
I hope the crap gets beat out of you if you did do that. But if you didn't, then man, for you, whoever made those allegations, I feel like shouldn't have something happen to them. But if you really did do that, dude, and you hit your own 6-year-old son, you're like sick and mad, man.
Right. Ja Morant will be reevaluated in another week due to a knee injury. Sucks for Ja, but hopefully it's not too bad because, the Grizzlies, they need him. And plus we need Ja's sweet flying.
Yeah. I feel like with Ja being out, dude, I feel like I'm a fiend. I'm like, I need some crazy dunks to happen, like I need someone to get like dunked on.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm really needing that right now. It's bad.
James Wiseman is out for the rest of the season due to a right knee injury. That man can't catch a break. His rookie season got impacted heavily because of his injuries. And now this season, I don't even know if he played all that much because of his injuries. So hopefully James Wiseman can get better soon. He won't be like the next Greg Oden.
I feel bad for him, I mean, it sucks, but it happens in the sport. I mean, look at Christian McCaffrey.
Right. And then finally, Josh Giddey is out for the season due to a right hip injury. Josh Giddey, very underrated player for the Thunder. Potential Rookie of the Year candidate because he's won a lot of the Rookie of the Month awards for the Western Conference. I believe all of them, if I'm correct. I'm not entirely sure of that, but yeah, that sucks for him. Josh Giddey, he'll come back next season strong.
You could say he giddied up on out of there.
All right, so now let's talk about the top 10 plays of the week. Coming in at number 10, this Jaren Jackson Jr. slam.
Jaren coming. How about this one?
And number 9, Sean Dursey, bullseye goal.
Zips it wide. Dursey scores! Right place, right time.
In at number 8, Alperen Şengün overhead pass.
Number 7, Chris Gutierrez spinning back this KO. I seen this. Deadly.
Yep. And at number 6, Davion Mitchell with great defense to get a steal and force overtime.
Takes the steal by Mitchell. Took his cornbread for the layup and
And number 5, Makey. That's a funny first name. Butler self-lob.
Get up, right?
In at number 4, Jose Alvarado with the high IQ play to force a travel.
He's hiding, and everybody's hiding him. Then he just runs back into the game. I'll tell you, boy. Woo, go, man. Let it be.
And number 3, Bogdanovich. Full court pass to Trae Young for buzzer beater.
Puts it down. Under a second. Baseball pass. Young. Unbelievable. That is.
In at number 2, this man, he invents this crazy dunk that no one's ever seen before, which I love seeing some fresh material for dunks. Comment down below what you would name this dunk.
And at number 1, Kurt Wilson, grand slam walk-off one day after he stole home to win.
Wilson hit it well. This one may be out of the ballpark. Campbell gives chase. It's a grand slam. Walk-off grand slam for Kurt Wilson. And the Red Raiders have rallied to win this one over the Longhorns and take game 2. Kurt Wilson is the hero for a second night in a row here at Danlaw Field, Gus. How about that? Wow. Kurt Wilson has had a flair for the dramatic in his time on this campus. Going all the way back to 2019 in the Super Regional.
This man's been on fire.
Right. And so with that, that will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
You want me calling out, you want what I think.